90% of people never bet on themselves. And when I say bet on themselves, I mean going after a goal or a dream. But not just that. When you really want to bet on yourself, that means going after that goal or dream when no one else is going after it around you. But when you pick a goal that no one else is doing, when you dedicate yourself to a dream that no one else has, that's betting on yourself because you're out in the open. And that's when a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't pursue these things because it's easy to make fun of those individuals if they fail. Because it's like if you picture going out to an open field by yourself, if you trip and fall, everyone can see you do it. But if you go out to that open field and you have a ton of friends, if you have everyone doing the same thing and you trip and fall, no one's going to make fun of you because everyone's out there. It's going to be hard to pick you out from the crowd because there's so many people out there as opposed to being out there by yourself. But the truth of the matter is, if you really want to accomplish your goals and dreams, you have to bet on yourself. And if you don't do it, you'll always be thinking about what could have happened, what should have happened. You'll be that person that will be sitting back saying, I wish I could have done this, or I should have done this, woulda, coulda, woulda. And you have to hold that for the rest of your life, knowing that you had the potential, knowing that you had the skill set, knowing that you had the passion, the dream to make this thing happen, and you never made it happen. So immediately I think about a story when I wanted to get back into college. So for some of you that may not know, I dropped out of college for 2 years to take care of my family. Both of my parents passed away of cancer, so I was taking care of my family throughout that 2 years. And I wanted to get back into college, but I haven't touched the basketball in 2 years competitively. And I remember, because I was working at Lowe's right there in Mississippi, I'll never forget. And everyone around me, their reality is working at Lowe's. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I love my time. It was my first job. I love working there. But their reality was that. And if they wanted to get even better than working at Lowe's, they would work at FedEx as well after Lowe's. So think about this. That's working 8 hours at Lowe's, getting off, working at FedEx right there in Memphis, because you got paid time and a half, overtime or something like that. And I can remember telling people like, this is not the move for me, player. Like this, I don't know what the move is, but this ain't it. This ain't it. Loading concrete. We used to have to load those 80-pound Quickcrete sacks on people's trailers and trucks and whatnot. And I remember we couldn't even get tips. Now you're looking at 15 hours out of the day doing something that you're not passionate about, that has nothing to do with your dreams, just because you just want to get a check. I just knew that was not the move for me. And I used to tell people, I was like, man, I'm about to go back to college. People looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, how are you going to go back to college? Like, college is expensive. Do you have college money? It's like, no, man, I'm about to play basketball. I played basketball before. I'm going to try it again. And it was so foreign to people. But in my crowd, everybody else was Lowe's, working at FedEx. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, eventually I had to bet on myself. I had to say, you know what? I have to go against the grain of what everybody else is doing. I have to make sure that I just kind of go out on my own and do my own thing. Now, the risk in doing that is I could fall flat on my face and I could lose everything. Mind you, I don't know if I said this already, but when my mom passed away, I had a house. I had a house right in Mississippi that I could have kept, right? I could have kept that house. Everybody does it. Everyone's not homeowners, especially in their 20s. That means in their 20s, I would have been a homeowner. I'm leaving all that behind to go out there and bet on myself. So I bet on myself, start going through different letters that I've been recruited 2 years prior, and I stumbled up on my alma mater, Ouachita Baptist University, and eventually got a scholarship. But I had to bet on myself to do that because no one around me was doing that. And in the event that I failed, best believe, if I would have came back to Mississippi, people would have made fun of me. People would have said, man, you should have stayed here. You could have been a department manager by now. You could have been even a store manager by now. You could have been working in appliances, and you could have been doing this and doing that if you would have stayed. If you would have done what everybody else would have been doing, you would have made it a lot further. But look at you. Who do you think you are going back to college? Nobody goes back to college, and they most certainly aren't being student athletes. Are you freaking kidding me? But I did it, and it worked. You have to bet on yourself. And nothing made that more clear than this weekend when I saw Nate Robinson fighting Jake Paul. If you missed this fight, this is before the Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fight. And there are some things that I saw in this fight that I know will help you as far as being a student athlete, both in college and high school. The first thing is, during the fight, Nate I don't know if this is his strategy or if this is his mentality, but he was going directly at Paul. He was going directly at Jake Paul, directly. He wasn't bobbing and weaving. He didn't give my man a shoulder roll. He didn't do a rope-a-dope, none of that. He wasn't trying to jab moves, none of that. He was going directly at him every time, almost headhunting him. It was always moving forward. You didn't see him back up. You didn't see him retreat. He was going directly forward. And I think about that as far as being a student athlete, of how many people don't do that. They don't do that. So I'll put it in case in point as far as being a roommate. So some of you may know that I've been working at colleges and universities around the country for 10 years now. And I've seen how students communicate with other students. And the same thing was when I was a student. I'm not saying they're different now, but the same things apply. People will go up and around, loop to swoop, then actually go directly to the person they have an issue with, right? So say for instance, like a roommate situation. So someone pees on the toilet seat. Now, I know that sounds silly, but instead of having that conversation with your roommate, like, hey dog, you're peeing all over the floors, the toilet seat. You got stuff on the doggone cabinet. Like, can you take care? Can you clean up after yourself? I don't know if you need to hold it with two hands. Whatever you need to do, can you make sure that this is taken care of? We got some Lysol wipes. Can you wipe this up? Can you do that? You would think that's something that a person will have a conversation about. You think that happens? Absolutely not. Does not happen. You know what happens? This person gonna call their dad, their mom, their deacon, their pastor, their high school advisor, their girlfriend, the girl that they're not really in a relationship. They just kind of talking. Their coach. They'll put that boy on Snapchat. They'll put it on Instagram. They'll put subliminal messages on Twitter. Everyone other than going directly to the source, going directly to the person who's going to be able to help them, going directly to the problem at hand. They'll talk to everyone. The same thing is for like coaching, right? You sit on the end of the bench, you're not getting playing time. Who do you talk to? Who do you talk to when you want to talk to somebody as far as your playing time? Well, conventional wisdom will probably say, I probably need to talk to my coach. He's the person or she's the woman that can actually help me out with this. Does that happen? Heavens no, that doesn't happen. You know what happens? I'm going to talk to everybody else that's not getting playing time and say that this coach is a loser. I'm going to call my dad. I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to call my old high school coach. I'm going to call my AAU coach, even though he don't know how to coach. Anyway, he's just yelling at people and cussing out people in front of people, and they think that's another story. Anyway, I'm going to call everybody other than the person that I need to call, the person that can actually fix this situation. I'm not going to go directly to the actual issue. When I saw in this fight, man, Nate was definitely not doing that. He was going directly at the person. That's something that we can learn. Go directly towards whatever issue, whatever goal, whatever objective that you have. Save you so much time just going directly at it. The second thing you can learn from this fight as far as being a student athlete is that transitional process. Now, there's tons of people on the internet right now that will tell you that being a student athlete prepares you for any industry in life. I mean, you work on teamwork, time management, you working with others, having an objective, going against the grain and all that, going against all that stuff. And that's true. That is true. There are so many things you're learning by being a student athlete. I don't care what level. I don't give a doggone if it's elementary, middle school, doggone high school, college, whether it be junior college, NAIA, Division I, Division II, Division III. It don't matter. All those things work together as far as you being a professional in the future. That's true. That is true. But one thing people don't tell you is there's a transition, right? Transition. And it's not seamless. It's not a situation that you just wake up and like, oh, well, I played basketball, so I'm about to go into quantum physics, and I'm about to just go ahead and solve this. I'm about to just go ahead and... So when I look at Nate and I'm looking at his resume to be in this situation, his resume wasn't really up to par. Not to diminish any of the training that he put in, maybe a year in advance or 6 months to advance and any of that. But he didn't have a resume that was stacking in his favor necessarily. He's a world-class athlete. Are you kidding me? He's undersized and he's in the NBA. Oh yeah, and he's dunking on people. He keeps himself in shape. Right? Won some slam dunk contests. Probably had some fights in his day, like many of us did as kids, right? Around the block or whatnot. But he has not been in that situation beforehand. And those fights that we had when we were kids, they don't equate to being actually in that doggone ring. Because when we were fighting as kids, we fought for like 30 seconds. 30 seconds. You push me, I'll push you back, I'll punch you in the face. That's it. They break us up. We're good. Let's go home. Now we're going to be best friends tomorrow. We had to just get that out of our system. That's how fights normally happen. That's how fights happen in my practice sessions when I was in college, when I was in high school. That's the format. Push, punch, break us up. Maybe 2 punches, break us up. In that doggone ring, if you think about a professional fight, sometimes they have 12 rounds, 2 to 3 minutes a round. That's dang near half an hour fighting. And ain't nobody jumping in there trying to break you up. Like, ain't nobody like, oh, hold me back. Ain't none of that. That's 30 minutes, dude. Close to 30 minutes, half an hour of fighting. Can you imagine? People get tired, man. That's why fights normally only last 30 seconds. What I'm saying is maybe he didn't think about this, but that transitional portion is something you need to think about. And it's something you need to think about as well, right? So moving forward, as far as these classes are concerned, right, some of you have lofty goals. I shouldn't say lofty because that's subjective. It depends on who's looking at them. But some of you want to be like doctors and lawyers and physical therapists, and you want to do something, you want to pick a major that's not the equivalent of just washing your hands with soap. You want to pick a major that's actually going to help you feed your family. And I love that. That's amazing. But I need you to know this. That transitional period, it ain't for the weak at heart. It ain't for the weak at heart. And you have to know that going into it, because if you're not paying attention, you'll be laying on the canvas. If you're not paying attention, you'll get taken advantage of in these doggone classes. You got to know that the same effort that you put towards being a good basketball player, being a good football player, being a good baseball player, good swimmer, whatever that is, that same tenacity you put towards that, you have to put that ×2 to academics, because you're starting all over again. All right. So making sure that you know that transitional process is there. It's not seamless. It's not a situation you just want, I just not solved it. No, that's not how it works. You got to make sure that you know there's going to be a transition and to prepare for that transition. So however you're going to prepare for that, if that means you have to do extra reading, if that means you have to get tutoring, if that means you have to get help from your academic advisor, whatever that thing is, you got to make sure that you are prepared for that transition, because oftentimes it's not an easy one. My third thing that I learned from this fight is how many people are going to make fun of you when you bet on yourself. In the event that you bet on yourself and come up short. It's ridiculous. People came out the woodworks to try to criticize Nate. Now think about this. Nate is undersized. He doesn't have the amount of hours put in as the person he's fighting, and his natural weight doesn't sit at the same natural weight as the person he's fighting. But he bet on himself, and he put himself out there. He came up short. He didn't make the goal that he wanted to make. That's a fact. There's no sugarcoating that. That's a fact. But it's also a fact that the majority, if not all of the individuals that want to make fun of them, never would bet on themselves in that capacity. They would never put themselves in that situation. So if you've never done what someone else is doing, if you never bet on yourself to that capacity, all chips pushed forward, then why would you take time out of your day to criticize the people that are courageous enough to do it? Why? What benefit? I don't understand for the life of me. But I want to let you know that it's coming. So that major that you're going for, if you don't know any doggone physical therapists, if you don't know any freaking doctors, if you don't know any lawyers, and you want to go and do that, and people find out you're doing that, and you make that first D on a test or fail a class, have to retake a class, best believe, whether they say it to your face or they talk about it in your absence, people gonna talk trash about you. It's a fact. Who he think he is? Thinking he a doctor. He graduated from this school. He graduated from the same school I went to. You know his parents didn't go to college, and he talking about he want to go and be a doctor. Like, this guy could barely read. This guy, he did horrible in math class. I did better than him in math class, and I don't want to be a doctor. Who does he think he is? These are going to be conversations that's going to be had, okay? So I need you to go ahead and prepare for yourself for that, because that is going to happen. And the last thing that I learned from this fight that I want you to add to your tool belt as far as being a student athlete, whether that's in college or high school, whatever level you're at, is in the event that you come up short, to take it gracefully, to be humble about the situation and not blame anyone. Now I know you're thinking like both of them was talking trash before the fight. That's just to amp the fight up. Everybody wants ticket sales, they want attention, they want to amp the fight up. But at the end of the day, once the outcome happened with Nate, within hours, he's already on Instagram thanking people that were supporting him. Already on Instagram, humble about the process, thanking people for the opportunity. Already doing that. And there's some people that wouldn't do that. Some people will blame things on other people. You know, it's funny because a lot of memes out there are trying to blame the trainer. Oh, the trainer didn't do this and do that. Nate was like, this is on me. Thank you for all my brothers that helped me out, that supported me and all that. And I think that's something that we all can learn from. Listen, we're not all going to win championships every year. We're not all going to make 4.0s and graduate top of our class. We're not all going to do that every doggone time. Sometimes we're going to win and sometimes we're going to learn. One of the two is going to happen. But to complain and blame on other people, like that holds you back from winning a different day. And I just thought that was big of him to be able to do that within hours. I don't mean days, I don't mean weeks, I mean within hours. When all the memes were coming out of talking about how bad he got hit and how he responded after that like we all should respond, right? Because you really don't know who you're dealing with when everyone's riding high. You only know who you're dealing with when someone has sustained a learning opportunity, right? That most would say loss. And how they bounce back from that. That's how you can tell who that person really is. So I hope you gained something. So I hope you got something from this video. Listen, I put out information every week helping student athletes be the very best they can be. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and tune in every week. If you have some ideas of topics that you want to be covered, let me know. I'm always interested in growing. I have some things for this channel that I want to get out. So thank you for rocking with me. And as always, whether it's on the court or off, in the classroom or out, graduate at the top of your class. Hoop loudy.